Hey, what's going on, American truckers? Coming to you from Northern California. Anyway, we'll talk to you about should you become a truck driver. Well, there's some things to consider. When we get into it, the most obvious one is, can you handle massive hours alone? I know everybody says, oh, I like alone time. Oh no, on a whole nother level. Massive hours alone. Excuse me. Like, imagine being in your bathroom, in an area about the size of your bathroom, alone, 23 hours a day. That's about what you can figure in trucking. The honest to God truth, I've been locked up before. I spent part of my childhood and younger years in and out. You get more socialization in prison than you do in a truck, by a long shot. Even if you're on lockdown. You know, I've been in lockdown situations. You can talk to people next to you. You see people moving around and stuff like that. Trucking is very solitary. That's why you'll find so many drivers that are trying to find a job at home. They're even willing to take less money to go home. OTR trucking takes a certain type of person. And pardon my French, but if you're going to be OTR trucking, you can't be no punk. Something else to consider is the money. Man, these trucking is very crooked. Okay. These companies will claim they pay this, they'll claim they pay that, and it's nowhere near true. Let me give you an example. I started trucking in 2009. I went to Stevens Transport. At the time, Stevens Transport was advertising on their website $40,000 a year for a first-year driver. All right, that means completion of your first year, drivers are making $40,000 a year. It's what they claimed. All right, I finished that year. I made $21,000 all year long. Think about that. There's waiters and waitresses out there that make $21,000 a year with tips. There's warehouse workers driving a forklift home every day that make $21,000 a year. So I made half of what Stevens claimed I was going to make. And I didn't go home. That year I ran almost 8 months straight one time. I only went home twice that year. That's how much I worked for $21,000. I tried everything, you know, in the first couple of years. Now, I make pretty decent money. Depending on how much I go home, depending on freight lanes, and, you know, there's a bunch of different things, and we'll get into that in a minute. I'm somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000 a year. But I've been driving since 2009. You're not going to make that your first year driving. Probably not going to make that your second year driving. You might get there your third. Something else to consider is what I was speaking about just a second ago. Trucking pay is not steady. If you got weekly bills at home, you're going to be screwed in trucking. It's just like this week. I was set up. I was going to have a good week. Snow came. I-5 shut down. I'm stuck waiting 2 days. I lose 2 days off the week. I shortens my week up. You know, it actually cost me about $600. Because when I'm rolling, I make about $350 a day. So that's $600 I lose. You see what I'm saying? Now next week, I might have a bigger check. But that doesn't always pan out either. Sometimes you'll end up with 2 or 3 weeks back to back that are pretty bad. Just depends on how things go. That's trucking. That's just part of the business. That's how it is. So that's something else to consider. Something else to consider is your health. If you're already got bad health issues, diabetes, heart problems, anything like that, you don't want to come trucking. Trucking is going to make that stuff worse. There's healthy people that come trucking and develop, problems. A good example of that's a buddy of mine. He was a bodybuilder, real good shape. Rusty Spencer, rest in peace. He came out trucking. Within 10 years, he was dead. Trucking is very hard on your body. So, and there's things you can do on the road to stay in shape. And I've heard people say, well, I'll just do this, and I'll just do that. Much easier said than done. It takes a lot of discipline. And most people that have that kind of discipline don't want to be driving trucks. Okay? Trucking is a lazy man job. I mean, let's be honest about it. You'll make more money over the road than you will at home. So, if you're thinking you're going to come over the road and you can't make it with what you're making on the road, and then you decide you're going to go home and drive, you're going to make even less money at home than you're making on the road. Just the way it goes. It's an easy job. Generally, the reason over the road pays more is because you sacrifice more time at home. Now, there are some at-home jobs you can get into that do pay pretty decent. Oil fields one, some union jobs and different things like that. But for the most part, I'd say 98% of them pay half of what we make out here over the road. And I'm saying that from experience. I've gone home a couple of times and taken jobs at home to be at home for a little while and run local. I've done everything from haul cement. I've done oil field work. I hauled frac sand. I actually make more money out here than I did hauling frac sand. I've done a lot of different things. So those are things you want to consider before you decide you're going to drive a truck. Make sure you sit down and you really think about all those things. Don't just take the numbers that you see on them websites in this industry. False advertising is not enforced in the trucking industry. Just because it says, oh, you'll make $60,000 your first year. No, you won't. No, you won't. I promise. No, you won't. If you go, like Maverick's probably the top company that I know you can go to work for right out of school trucking. They claim they make $70,000. I got a buddy over there I make contact with, and he's saying the actual number is more around $50,000. But for your first year, $50,000 is pretty good. I know several people at Stevens, probably a couple dozen. I worked there for 4 years, and most of the people in the office know me even still today, even all these years later. But I've maintained contact with a few people over there, and I trained for 3 of those years, so I got students that are still over there and stuff like that. Those first year drivers, I do not care what Stevens Transport's telling you on their website, those first year drivers are making between 28 and 31 right now. That's what they're making. So you got to remember that recruiter's job is to get you to go to that company. You can only believe a little bit of what that recruiter's telling you, because that recruiter's job is to make you want to come to that company. They're going to tell you whatever they got to tell you to get you to that company. It's up to you. You got to use a little bit of sense. Talking to drivers like myself, there's some other YouTube channels on here where guys will talk about, becoming a truck driver. I'm telling you, you must see this. Share it with your friends. I'm not saying don't become a truck driver. I'm just saying that you need to take these things into consideration. You see me in the front of my truck, so take this advice from somebody who's been there. My first year trucking, I was so broke, I ate ramen noodles all the time. It's all I could afford. I used to cut Vienna sausages up and put them in my ramen noodles just so I could have something different. I was smoking roll-em cigarettes. I mean, I was broke. Broke. You can make good money out here. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of learning the industry. It takes you learning whether you want to go the owner-operator route or company route. And then finding the right company that fits you. I eventually landed at Creek Carriers, and I love it. I don't have anything bad to say about a few companies out there, though, that I know of that are pretty good. H&M Trucking, pretty good company. Maverick, out of Arkansas, pretty good company. Holland, New Holland, they're a pretty good company. Tyson Foods out of Arkansas, they're a pretty good company. But just take some time and make sure it's what you want to do. Make sure your health is right. Come up with a plan to stay healthy. Don't be eating the junk food in these truck stops. Read a little bit every day. Keep your mind sharp. That's something else that'll fade on you out here. And, you know, if you decide to come on, come on. I'm all for it. Even if you got a felony, don't worry about it. I make a video about what companies hire ex-felons and what they require. You can search YouTube and look that up. Please like and subscribe so some of my other content will pop up, and maybe you'll find something in there you're interested in, and it also helps promote the channel. I appreciate all y'all that are loyal and stick around. Hang in there and keep trucking.